And so a question I wanted to ask and get figuring out too is if they miss this year and Kadri and Huberdeau continue to be average players, and is it imperative you move them now? Or
You can't move.
can you risk starting the season next year or in the off season? I'm not saying in the next couple days. Or can you move them at all? Or can you risk them being subpar or ordinary next year? Where now you can't move them. Can you, first of all, can you move them? And if you risk hanging on to them, they have another subpar year. Are they ever tradable?
Kadri was 32 when he signed that contract, and there's 6 years after this one. Huberdeau is 30, and his new contract kicks in next year. And making it worse than just the money and the term and his age is that nearly 80% of it is signing bonus money, which means if things go sideways, you are not able to buy it out. It's why Milan Lucic has never been bought out, even though the Oilers would have loved to have done it. You cannot get relief from signing bonus money in a buyout. And that's getting really nerdy, but what it makes is even the object more immovable than it was before. And I think to put them in the same group is fair because they came in as free agents and came off career years. But Kadri's looked much more like the Nazem Kadri we've watched in this league than a decade than Jonathan Huberdeau. He's the massive outlier. How do you go from 115 points to like 50? That's kind of what we're watching here. Kadri's numbers aren't far off career norms. So I think, there's a conversation to be had about Kadri. But the other thing is, like, look at all these deals we've seen in the last week. Who's moved with term? Like, nobody wants to commit and get locked into money.
Timo Meier.
No, okay, it's team control, but not term.
So great. But why the hell did we do it? We did it because of Gaudreau?
Because no one saw Jonathan Huberdeau turning from superstar into can't even flirt with.
Don't say no one. Don't say no one.
Well, no, you didn't like the idea of extending him. That's fine. But that's not the same as saying, oh, he's going to be a 50-point guy. His production will get less than half of last year. That's the whole point of.
Yeah, but the whole point of not extending it, or my opinion was, and I don't think I'm the only genius that might have considered this. The whole point of not extending him was, well, prove it here in Calgary. Aren't we all happy to pay these guys? It's the same as Gaudreau last year. We're more than happy to pay these guys when you go out and produce. And we
did you think he was going to falter to this point, though?
To this
Probably
degree.
not to this point. Not to this point, but that was my whole point. I'll be happy to pay you. Come in and score 115. No,
yeah.
But if he's at this point, the negotiation right now is a lot effing different right now with Jonathan Huberdeau.
Of course it is. Yep,
right?
It is,
or you're trading him for a huge windfall. Or you're trading him this week for a big windfall. And
or a
Uyghur.
Small one, but you don't live with him. Yeah, either way. I don't have a problem with Uyghur in terms of that money. He's on the top pair skate this morning. And
I have a problem with Uyghur because I don't know what point you are in your. It's when Kipper was here and we had all those old bastards that should have been traded years before, and Kipper covered for them all, and you had a bunch of muck, but Kipper was really good, so you made the playoffs. What's Uyghur if he's? It's fine. Again, I'm not against Uyghur. It's just, where are we in the growth of this organization and this team? We don't need a Uyghur. You're absolutely listening to offers on Uyghur if you're in this spot and he doesn't have a long-term contract.
Yeah, and you know what? That deal's more movable. I really believe it is. And there's whispers that Ottawa's interested. I don't think it's absurd for a 2-3 to make $6 million, even if there isn't a lot of offense there. And to be fair,
it's not the point. It's your return on investment. If you don't sign these guys, and this is exactly why I said you shouldn't sign them, was because I wasn't convinced that this was going to work out. And it hasn't worked out. And right now, Brad Treliving would be getting calls on these guys and looking at the offers, and you would have a direction that your team is supposed to be going in. Right now, we don't know what that direction is. And that's the hardest part, I think, for a fan, for us, is to figure out, if we hang on to this, fine, we don't make the playoffs this year. Okay, that sucks, and that's the shits, and things didn't go well. Oh, we're banking on a bounce back next year. Well, that's a big maybe. That's a big maybe with aging players with massive contracts. That's not a direction to me. That's a maybe. That's a big if.
For sure it is. I agree. And look, like, you are right on the extension conversations. To this point, it's been an unmitigated disaster. And in hindsight, you wish you didn't sign them. The problem is we're here now. Someone's going to be the GM of this team this summer, whether that's Treliving or somebody new, and they're going to have to deal with this shit. And that's what we're all talking about here is what is the plan moving forward? And how does this year's deadline factor into it if you don't know that the guy running the deadline is or isn't going to be here this summer? Like, that to me is the most pressing issue, big picture right now, is who is going to build the plan for this group moving forward, and what is the plan?